For this lesson, you need to open the sample file Health Club Bookings 1 from your Sample Files folder. In the next lessons, we'll explore the power of Excel's data validation features. You can prevent a huge number of data entry errors by trapping them at source and then politely informing your users that they've made a mistake. This worksheet manages all of the treatments sold in a health club. There are several rules that must not be broken when entering data. These types of rules are often referred to as business rules when designing data systems. I'll just hide the ribbon now by double-clicking any ribbon tab, and I'll scroll down a cell so that you can see the rules. The rules are defined in cells I2 to J27. At the moment, the worksheet doesn't police these rules itself. It relies upon all personnel understanding and applying them. But it would be much better if the worksheet policed the rules itself and refused to allow any invalid values to be entered. And we can achieve this using data validation. I'll begin with the first business rule, which is that the minimum age is 17 and the maximum age is 100. And I'll apply a validation rule to column C to police this rule. So I begin by selecting all of the values in column C. When you add validation rules, it's always best to select the entire column, because you don't know how many rows will ultimately be added to this worksheet. Then I'll click Data on the ribbon, and in the Data Tools group, Data Validation. And you can see that at the moment we're allowing any value at all to be entered into this column. We'll allow dates, numbers, text, absolutely anything. And of course, that's the default. But I only want to allow whole numbers, because ages don't have decimal places. So I'll click Whole Number. And the next rule I want to implement is that the age must be between 17 and 100. So the default value of between works well for me. But notice that there are many other ways in which you could apply a validation. I'll stay with between. For the minimum age, I'm going to click on cell J5, but this is a relative cell reference and I need an absolute cell reference. So I'll press the F4 key on the keyboard to convert it to an absolute reference. Absolute and relative cell references are covered in depth in lesson 312 of the Essential Skills video in this series. If you're unsure about how to use absolute and relative cell references, you can download this lesson and watch the matching video free of charge at our website. Go to www.learnmicrosoftexcel.com and then click the Free Tutorials with Video button on the top menu bar. You'll then be able to view the video and download the lesson in PDF format. Now for the maximum value, once again I'll click in the box, click on the maximum and press F4 to convert to an absolute cell reference. And I'll now click OK. Now I'm going to test the validation by changing Julia Depp's age to 101. When I press the Enter key, you'll see a very user-unfriendly error message. In the next lesson, we're going to discover how to make this message more user-friendly. I'm going to click Retry, and this time I'll set the age to 16, which is below the minimum age. When I press the Enter key, once again I get an error message. But if I entered an age of 17, it would be accepted. And if I entered an age of 100, that would also be accepted. But I'm going to change Julia's age back to her real age of 22. Now let's apply a validation in a similar way to column E. And this will enforce the rule the price must be a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 100. So I'll select all of column E, then click Data on the ribbon in Data Tools, Data Validation. And this time I'm going to allow decimal numbers. And the reason I need decimals is that currency values can of course have decimal places. So I click Decimal, and this time the minimum value is in cell J16, and I press the F4 key to make the reference absolute, and the maximum is in cell J17. Once again, F4 to make the reference absolute. I'll now click OK and test the validation. If I try to charge 100.01, this refuses the validation. And if I charge $9.99, that's also going to refuse the validation. But a value of 10 should be accepted, as it is, and a value of 100 should also be accepted. So the validation is working fine. I'll just put the price back to 22. Notice that in cell E8 we have an invalid value because 9 is less than 10. Data validation will only take effect on new values entered into the validated cells. If there's any existing invalid cells, there won't be any warning. I think I'll now bring the ribbon back by double-clicking any of those ribbon tabs. All that remains now is to save your work, and I'm going to save with the new name Health Club Bookings 2. And as usual, I'm going to save to the folder above my sample files folder. I click the Save button, and you've now completed Lesson 2.7, Validate Numerical Data.